What is up, guys? Welcome to Love for G.T.S and Guns. I appreciate you coming back and hanging out with me for another video. Um, so I do this because I really like it. I'm a 2A guy, and I like doing things to inform the community and to put information out there. If I got my hands on something and I know people are interested in it, I want to talk about it. I do the same thing when I'm interested in a gun, even if I can't put my hands on it personally. I watch videos. So that's what I'm doing today. We're going to talk about two very popular guns that are ported. If you guys been following my channel for a bit, you know I love ported guns. So these are two of the probably best ported guns on the market right now as far as striker fire goes. And we're going to be talking about the Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0 compact carry comp. And god damn it, every time I say that, I'm like, why do they have to put so many names in the name? But at any rate, we're going to be talking about the compact carry comp. This gun is clear, magazine's clear, and then we're going to also be comparing that to the newest P-10C. This is going to be the compact P-10. This is going to be the ported version that just recently hit the market. So we're basically going to be comparing these two guns, and we're going to talk about them, and then we're going to watch some range footage. So speaking of range footage, if you guys are not training, you're slacking. So get out there, train. You're going to be carrying around this gun, this tool, to protect yourself or your family. You want to make sure you're proficient when using it. Last thing you want to do is get caught short out there, thinking you're, proficient with it, and then find that you're not. So, at any rate, let's get into some dimensions. Now, these both have 4-inch barrels. They are roughly the same size, both compact guns, bigger than your subcompacts and micros, obviously. Two good 4-inch barrel comped guns. And I say comped, let's talk about that. These guns are ported. So if you look right here, they're ported at the front. All right, so there's a port in the barrel and then a port in the slide that match up and create basically a comp, because the rifling stops before the ports, which creates a kind of a comp situation there. And this one does the same thing. All right, manipulating these is a little bit different, so at any rate, same thing. Now this chunk port on this one is a lot bigger on the CZ, but same thing. All right, see what it looks like there. And let's look at them side by side so you can see. All right, see how much bigger the chunk port is on the CZ compared to the Smith & Wesson. So outside of that, let's talk about ergos. Ergos, man. If you look at the stippling, texturing on the Smith & Wesson, it is a lot more aggressive feeling. Feels almost skateboard tapish, and a lot of people actually love this grip, and I can say that I'm a fan of it. The overall shape of the grip allows you to grip it pretty naturally. All right, and then presentation, the angle of this gun, oh man, this thing is nice. I mean, it presents almost perfectly. So outside of that, you move up, talk about the serrations on the slide, make it easy to manipulate front and back. Also has like this little wings on the back so that you can grab directly from the back. And these serrations over here and here just make it easy to manipulate this gun. It also has a relief cut also at the top, which you can see there. Would have been nice if they did something similar to what Canik did, where it actually had like the name of the gun written in there. So that would have been cool. But overall, aesthetically, this is a really good look. This gun just feels good in the hand. Same thing with the P-10C. Now they go about it a little bit different, but same thing. It feels really good. Presenting this gun feels very natural. All right. So if you look, the stippling or the texture on here is a little bit different. It has these dots on here that aren't as aggressive. It's kind of the skateboard type thing that Smith & Wesson does. But it is effective. That's what matters. And it has it also on the back straps and the front straps. Speaking of back straps, both of these actually have interchangeable back straps. The back straps do look a little different. I'm not going to get into all of that. But I will say that for my hands, I have average size hands. Not big hands, not really small hands, but average size hands. And the medium back straps on both um, are the most comfortable for me. The small, I feel like it's too small, and the large feels like a 2011 kind of grip where it's like super wide and bulky. Not a huge fan of that. I prefer the mediums. Talking about the back straps. Now, in the shooting footage for the CZ, the gun comes shipped with the small back strap. So in the shooting footage that you're going to watch, the small back strap was on here, which in turn I think had some effect on my shooting, which we'll talk about later on. But I did change it out and put the medium back strap on there, and I will say that I can already tell that the my grip and everything on the gun is a whole lot better. I'm gonna show some range footage, and then we'll get back to the tabletop and talk about the guns. So let's go to the range. First mag. There's brass knuckle.
Only thing I would
That is not good. I sucked that first round out. P-10, but pretty sure that was me. This is the Smith. This is the 124 NATOs. So we're gonna try this again. We're gonna keep all of the CZ on this side, Smith on this side. All right, so we're back to the tabletop. You saw the first shots, first few mags, a couple mags we put through the guns at the range. Now I want to talk about a couple things after those first shots. One thing I realized is that I've been shooting the M&P a lot longer. So I have about 750 rounds through the M&P so far. So it's pretty broken in. And that break-in is important because one thing I've noticed is that from the break-in, the slide and spring have been broken in, so the gun moves and cycles a lot smoother. Also, the trigger. We'll compare the triggers, and both of these are being unloaded. I don't even have the magazines in here right now. But if you look at the trigger on here, first off, they both have this trigger dingus on here as a safety, all right? So aside from that, if you look, trigger comes back, it has a pretty defined wall there, and there's a little bit of creep, and then a crisp break. And then on the reset, a little bit of movement there, boom, and we're right back on the wall, and reset is beautiful. Now this trigger is pretty broken in, 750 rounds. Trigger is smooth. That pull, it just feels so good, man. And the trigger feels way different than the CZ. This trigger is also a little bit lighter. I would estimate that this trigger is probably around 4 pounds. If I had to guess, probably 4.25 pounds. Now the CZ trigger is a little bit heavier. And again, this gun is fairly new. At the time doing this range footage, I think I had roughly about 60 or 70 rounds through the gun. Actually about 75 to be exact. So this gun is not quite as broken in, which does have some effect on the way that the overall gun performs, right? Because once the gun breaks in, the trigger gets a little bit lighter and the cycling of the gun is a lot smoother. Now, since that range day, you'll notice that, man, it's moving so much easier. The trigger feels better, and that's because I've broken it in. Put over 100 rounds in the gun at this point, and aside from that, which you guys should all be doing, any gun that I plan on using or potentially carrying, I spend time just manipulating it and getting used to the trigger, making sure that I understand how the gun feels, how it presents, and knowing how that trigger breaks. All right, so let's look at this trigger on the CZ. Same thing, got the trigger dingus, comes back, a little bit of movement, to a defined wall, and that break is crisp and clean. This trigger breaks kind of like a Walther PDP. If you guys are familiar with Walters, these triggers are great. The P-10 platform has one of the best striker fire triggers out there. Not to say that the Smith & Wesson doesn't have a great trigger. That trigger is just pretty good. This one does feel a little bit better. All right, now let's look at the reset. Reset on here, really short, boom, right there, and then a crisp break. And there's really no movement there. That boom right there, and you're right back on the wall. Now, one thing about the CZ that I'll say is that even though the trigger is a lot more crisp, it does have a heavier trigger. This trigger, I think CZ says that it's 5.5 pounds. I would say out the box, they're right. It's about 5.5 pounds. Now, one thing I will say is that after playing around with I shouldn't say playing around. We don't play with guns. After manipulating the gun and getting used to it with this trigger, it has lightened up. I would say it's probably closer to 5 pounds now. Maybe still 5.5, but it's a lot smoother. It's broken in. And that's the thing. You want to get these guns broken in, especially before you decide to carry it. So now, whereas when I first got the gun, pulling this trigger, man, it was, even though it was crisp and clean, it was just so heavy. But now it feels like it just breaks so easy. So I would guess probably once I get around 300 to 500 rounds, this trigger is going to be super smooth, as well as the rest of the gun, just the overall cycling of it. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit because that does affect your shooting, the trigger heavily. So I think getting used to the CZ has something to do with my overall shooting, as well as that backstrap we talked about. So just wanted to touch on that for a little bit. We're going to watch some more range footage and then we'll get final thoughts. Next is going to be Winchester white dots, or white box. Shoot the Smith first. CZ on this side, Smith on that side. So far, Smith is looking good. Definitely a lot of shooter error there, so it's on me. Let's go ahead and finish it off the NATO. White box Winchester. Laser brass. All blazers. I hope you guys enjoyed all the range footage, as well as some of the conversation we've had about these two guns. Now, it's going to be really up to you guys to decide which one is better, or which one you take, which one you feel is the better gun. I will say that if you get either one of these, you're getting a phenomenal gun. As far as striker fire guns, both of these are really great options. These guns perform at the top of the game as far as compact striker fire guns. Again, both comparable size-wise, they're almost identical. Now, the ergos and trigger feel are very different on these guns. They both are very solid, and I think that if you choose either one of these, you'll be doing good. Now, which one is my favorite? I will say, just from shooting them next to each other, again, the Smith & Wesson is more broken in. So the Smith & Wesson, to be quite honest, felt the best on a range day. I felt like I could get back on target better. My sight acquisition was better. And these sights also have something to do with it. If you look at the sights, this has a blacked out rear, serrated, and then a tritium front sight, night vision, whatever they call it, and it's yellow or green or whatever that is at the front. So the sights on here, as well as the fact that this gun is broken in and a really good trigger, just made it a lot easier for me. Not to say that the CZ was any slouch. Now, if I was going to pick up both of these guns at the same time and buy one of them, honestly, I would probably go with the CZ P-10. It's probably about 250 buckaroos less for the CZ, and you get all of the same features, man. The CZ, I think, has a crisper trigger, and the overall ergos on this is better. Now, I do wish that CZ took this grip texture, even with these little dots, all the way up in here, just to allow you to grip down on it a lot better. They both have these kind of memory pads on both sides for your fingers, for your indexing finger, as well as for your thumb when you're resting. So overall, ergos are great on here, and shooting this gun was, man, a great experience. I'm really enjoying the P-10 platform, and definitely look to see what CZ does with this. So if I was picking one of these right now out the box, I would probably go with the CZ. Now, if I had the extra money and I just wanted to spend, I'd go with the Smith & Wesson. I mean, this gun is great. The ergos on here are nice. All of the controls are greatly placed, and they're easy to locate, easy to manipulate. One thing that I wish, again, that the CZ would do, so if you look at the slide stop here, how it protrudes a little bit on the Smith & Wesson, it doesn't on the CZ. They make it almost flush to the gun, so it's kind of right there. Now, both of these right out the box was really stiff, but once I kind of broke in both of them, you were able to drop that slide using the slide stop. The Smith & Wesson now is a lot easier to drop, but they both were really stiff out the box. But now, like I said, the more you break it in, it gets a little smoother. But that was one thing that I did notice on these, is that both of the slide stops or slide releases were both really stiff out the box. But again, over time, utilizing them, manipulating them, and shooting them, both of these guns are smoothed out a lot. The other thing is, I have to say this, CZ, I'm sure you're aware of this at this point, but my front sight, when I first got this gun, the front sight was off. It was pretty far to the left. Now, luckily, my FFL, when I got it, we looked at the gun. I was checking it out to make sure everything was good before I, signed off on everything and took possession of the gun. So they did actually straighten up my front sight. So that is one thing. QC's never really been an issue for CZ, so I'm surprised that all of the P-10 portraits have been coming out with this front sight kind of off. But outside of that, everything else on this gun has been beautiful. I'm going to end this video by saying that either one of these guns are great. Choose which one is in your budget and whichever one fits your hand better. One of the people in the comments asked, which one I would go with. And I told him, go to the store. If you can find a place that has both of them, handle both of them. And if you have the 2.0 that is not the comp model, it feels almost the same. The only major difference between the carry comp and the regular 2.0 is the slide. The slide serrations are different, and of course it's not compensated. Same thing with the CZ. The regular P-10 is pretty much the same gun. So you find one of your local stores that has the P-10, it's almost the same gun. The major differences between the ported version and the The regular P-10, it's going to be the port, of course, and then the slide serrations are different on this one. They are deeper grooved, but there are less of them than on the regular P-10. And the original P-10 also doesn't have these serrations on the top of the slide. So that also makes the manipulating from the front a lot easier. Also, the sights on the regular P-10 are a little bit different. These are the nocturne sights. I think the original P-10 just had white dots at the back and white dot at the front. So, at any rate, whichever one you go with, I think you'll be satisfied with both of them. The shooting experience will be great, and the overall performance of the guns are great. Which one was softer shooting? If I'm being honest, here's my take on it. The CZ actually handled recoil better. I should say the muzzle flip. The port or on the CZ definitely mitigated muzzle flip way more than the Smith & Wesson. So I did not feel as much muzzle flip with the CZ as I did with the Smith, but I will say that the Smith actually felt like it had less recoil, if that makes sense. So I know both of those are factors of recoil, right? But the recoil that you feel in your hand as the gun is pushing back is different from the muzzle flip. So I will say that the muzzle flip on the CZ was less, but the overall recoil felt a little bit softer on the Smith & Wesson. But if I had to choose one just to go shooting, especially if I was going to be in some type of competition situation, I don't know, man. I don't know. I am really partial to the CZP-10, and I don't know if it's just because it's the newer thing on the block, and I've never had a CZ. I've never owned a CZ gun. I've shot a bunch of them, but never owned one. So overall, just getting to know this platform, I think, has something to do with it. The Smith & Wesson, I just really like this gun. It feels good. It shoots good. So, man, I don't know. You guys be the judge, right? You choose what you want, but can't go wrong either way. Again, appreciate you guys stopping by the channel. Hopefully you'll come back and visit me and hang out, and we'll do another video. Peace.